It's the Premier League wrap up, and these matches were played between the 10th of March and the 12th. The big clash on Saturday was at Old Trafford, with Liverpool the visitors. Surprisingly, Klopp left Henderson on the bench, with Milner selected alongside Oxlade-Chamberlain and Chan. Mourinho had lost Pogba to an injury in training the day before, so McTominay continued alongside Matic. United started briskly, and the Liverpool feared trio of goal scorers were well contained, and United were playing the long ball up to Lukaku with effect. Mata, Rashford and Sanchez were getting a fair amount of ball, and it was from a Lukaku header that Rashford ran onto and then turned Alexander-Arnold and rifled the ball into the net wide of Karius. That was 13 minutes on the clock. Just 10 minutes later, another clearance upfield and Lovren made another mess of it, and Lukaku's shot was scuffily cleared to Rashford again, who made it 2. Old Trafford were in raptures, and Liverpool just avoided a third when a spectacular volley from Mata went just wide when he had time to pick his spot. The second half saw a more purposeful Liverpool, and they had more of the ball, with Lallana on for the Oxlade-Chamberlain. And finally, on 66 minutes, a cross from the left was turned into his own net by Bailly. Liverpool pressed for an equaliser, and many thought they had a shout for a penalty when Fellaini clashed with Mane. But anyway, United held on, and they remained second, 5 points ahead of the Scousers. So what are the other games on Saturday? West Brom, deep in trouble, were at home to Leicester, and they started well, opening the scoring when Rondon connected with a cross on 8 minutes. But Leicester soon recovered, and Mahrez clipped a delightful ball over the defence, and Vardy ran onto it, swiveled and hit it on the volley into the corner. It was an absolute peach of a strike, and that was 1-1 on 21 minutes. From there on, the Foxes gained in confidence and were always more threatening. And on 62 minutes, Mahrez had a neat interchange with Iheanacho to put the ball in the net. Iheanacho got his first goal for the Foxes a little later, and Iborra completed the route with a fourth near full time. Baggy's woeful and in big trouble. The London Stadium witnessed some ugly scenes by Hammers supporters protesting against the owners. However, it had all started rather impressively, with the hosts looking solid. However, into the second half, and Barnes hit a forceful strike into the top corner on 66 minutes, and that lit the touch player paper, and trouble started. It got worse, and shortly after, a fan was removed from the pitch by Noble and a few stewards. A second arrived for Burnley when Wood took advantage of slack defending. Now it was getting very ugly, and when Hart failed to hold a shot and Wood pounced for a third, the writing was on the wall. Hammers are getting closer to that drop zone. Okay, St James's Park, Newcastle were looking confident, and they eased past a woeful Southampton 3-0 at St James's with a brace from Kennedy. The first, a neat turn and volley after a great ball through from Shelvey. Kennedy added a second early in the second half, and then Shelvey produced a perfect layback to Ritchie to make it 3. Southampton looked like they're heading down. Chelsea at the Bridge went 2 goals up quickly with Willian and a Kelly on goal, and seemed to be coasting. But in the second half, Palace looked more purposeful, and they got their rewards with a late strike at the death by Van Aanholt. But it wasn't enough, as Conte now heads to Barcelona next week. The other two games on Saturday ended with a 2-0 win for Everton at home to Brighton. It was comfortable enough for the Toffees, even though Rooney missed the penalty. And a goalless draw was seen at the John Smith Stadium between Huddersfield and Swansea, with the hosts having 90% of the possession, 30 shots and an extra man for over an hour. But Swansea's defence was resolute. So to Sunday's action. Arsenal were at home to Watford and hoping to build on that Europa Cup win in Milan. And they displayed great confidence early on. And Mustafa was an early scorer, heading in unmarked from an Ozil free kick on 8 minutes. It took them until the hour mark to double the lead, when Aubameyang anticipated Mkhitaryan's arrowed pass to tuck in confidently. And then the Armenian scored his first for the Gunners in the league on 77 after Aubameyang laid it on, returning the favour. Arsenal were comfortable 3-0 winners. And oh yes, Troy Deeney embarrassingly missed a penalty, which gave Cech his 200th clean sheet in the Premier League. And that's a record. At the Vitality Stadium, Spurs were looking to bounce back after their loss to Juve in midweek. And they also had to deal with an early goal scored by Stanislas after 9 minutes, plus Kane going off with an injured ankle in the first half. But Dele Alli levelled things on 5 minutes, and then Son got a brace in the second half. He is looking the real deal. Aurier had it a fourth in stoppage time, and the result, to be honest, was harsh on Bournemouth. The Monday night match saw Man City at the Bet365, and it was a comfortable 2-0 win for them against Stoke. 2 goals from David Silva either side of the break. The first, a lovely finish from a cross by Sterling. Okay, so City maintain a 16-point lead. Goal of the week? Well, it's shared. Rashford's opener for United against Liverpool, and that peach by Vardy to get Leicester back to 1-1. See you next week.